Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, coming to you live from Chi-Town. Figure I was on the road. My good friend Roger Gutierrez here lives not too far, so I figure why not do it live on location. I think this is maybe the fourth live on location that I've done. So welcome to the show, Roger.
Paul, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
So Roger and I have been connected for several years, and we're always interacting with different threads in automotive. Being gearheads ourselves, we're in the same groups. SDL.
Yep, SDL, yeah.
Some other fixed ops communities. So we got a chance to interact on a lot of things. We see a lot of things very similarly. And you know, the topic of the show, Get Comfortable Being Uncomfortable, was one that Rogers kind of came out of nowhere and started putting out content. Okay, and he's putting out some great content. So I figured that since I'm going to be in this area, it would be great to have Roger come on and talk about some of the things that he's doing, because it's an underutilized resource. I would say probably unscientifically 99% of the dealerships don't take advantage of leveraging platforms like social media and Google and creating video content, things like that. And Roger put out some really great videos. So I wanted to bring him on and to talk about some of the things that he's doing. So for those that don't know Roger, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and your background?
Sure, Paul. Well, my name's Roger Gutierrez. I'm currently the fixed ops director over at the Biggers Auto Group out here in Elgin, Illinois. Been there for about 5 years, and been in the business since 1999. Started off as an apprentice at an Acura dealership out this way, and just been growing and moving throughout the industry across the years, and been managing for about 15 years now.
That's a long time in automotive. You learn a lot of things in 15 years, and you've had some personal discoveries along the way, which you shared with me at dinner. We had an opportunity to break bread before the show, and you know, never judge a book by its cover, right, Roger?
That's something we learned today, absolutely.
So I go to a lot of restaurants. I pull into the parking lot. Now, granted, it's early, but there are almost no cars in the parking lot. So that's a red flag for me typically. Then I walk in, I come to the discovery that it's a hotel. And that's another red flag, because oftentimes a restaurant that's in a hotel isn't necessarily a good one. So I had my apprehensions. And as a matter of fact, when the maitre d' came over, I said, you know, I'm not going to lie, I was a little concerned. There's no cars in the parking lot, so either you guys are off the beaten path or your food sucks. What?
Yeah.
And he said, well, no, the food is really good here, but we are off the beaten path. And man, everything that came out, we had empanadas, it was outstanding.
Yeah.
The salads,
yeah.
Really good. And the salmon they cooked to perfection. Chef recommends medium rare, and it was really good. But I get talking about food, I go off the side here. So Roger, some of the things that we want to get started on is how to recruit techs, new techs, right? Because everybody said, oh, no matter where you go, I need techs, I can't find techs, or people don't want to work. I don't think that's the case.
It's not. It's the case that I've been noticing is just that, you know, you got technicians that don't want to work in the culture that people are providing, you know, and that's something that I've worked very hard to change at our stores, and essentially, you know, creating an environment that stands out from most other dealerships. You know, we emphasize right now on growing our shops and being versatile in our shops, which is essential to any store, especially right now. What we were saying is, you know, it's very hard to find technicians, and you know, it's difficult to grow from within the shop. But I've taken it on head on, essentially. You know, recruiting technicians has been one of my main focuses across the years now, and we went from a store that had 12 technicians to now 18, and a Mazda store that had 4 technicians to now having 6, and thriving. You know, essentially actually, taking it as a personal challenge for myself.
So when you hear the words they don't want to work, it's not necessarily that they don't want to work. They may not want to work for you if you don't create an environment in which they can thrive, right?
Yep.
So where do some of these texts come from? Is it word of mouth?
Word of mouth, sure. The tool guys, I've noticed they have a lot of things to talk about our store because we're busy and other stores aren't in our area, or we're one of the few that are busy. But essentially, it's us being out there. I'm very involved in all the local high schools, helping them get ASC accredited, so they can certify their students at the high school level with ASC certifications. I'm very involved being on the advisory boards for all the local vocational schools, Lincoln Tech and Triton, who have the GM program at Triton and the MAST program over at Lincoln Tech. Being involved there and visiting them regularly, being a resource for all these students for advice and for practice for interviews and things like that, and kind of letting them know what's coming up in their career, because I've been through it. I'm a graduate of UTI, myself.
Nathan said the audio is going in and out. I'm not sure about that. Nobody else is complaining about it. So let us know if you're having any audio issues. So you're there, right? There are a lot of people that complain about not being able to get text, but they're not willing to put in the investment of time.
Yes.
When you just show up and ask for help, as opposed to showing up and being helpful, that puts you in a whole different light.
Absolutely. You don't really see that. Every store that goes to a career fair is handing out a flyer with the same benefits every dealership has. But when you have somebody who's been through what they've been through,
yeah,
and can help coach them through, the same situations they're about to run into and the pitfalls that I ran into, not having any help,
right?
It really changes the dynamic of the conversation.
When I started in this business a long time ago, there wasn't that kind of help. It was pretty much sink or swim, and you either learned it or you didn't.
Yes.
Okay. The way you're going about it, you can kind of turbocharge somebody's career because you can save them a lot of time of trying to figure things out because you've done it.
Absolutely. I'm trying to save them time by showing them the mistakes I've made in my career path. The pitfalls I ran into, the challenges I got hit by, as I went. Perfect example would be buying tools. I didn't have anybody to really tell me, hey, buy this instead of this, or buy that, don't buy this.
Yeah.
I bought this cool, Snap-on toolbox right off the bat. And that went my little bit of extravagant money that I had to build up my toolbox was going to the box itself. And, roles reverse, I would do it the other way around.
I've seen over the years that a lot of times new techs, they'll buy a complete set of everything when you don't necessarily need that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There might be 3 sockets that you need, or the one tool as opposed to a complete set that you're going to hope to use in your lifetime. Let me get to a couple of comments. So Nathan said that on YouTube it's working fine. So different, I guess, the different computer, different browser, who really knows? Steve Souza, I'm hearing you guys fine. Hey, you're the Steve that was in Massachusetts, I think, at the Cadillac store. I've not seen you in a long time. Thanks for tuning in, man. Marshall Sheldon, speaking of going the extra mile and going to the schools and the advisory boards, he said if folks think the techs across town don't know what you pay and what it's like to work at your store, you're wrong. Good experienced techs aren't hanging their resumes out there in the breeze. They talk to their friends about what it's like to work in their shop. Car meets and shows at the shop are a good place to find recruits. So he's actually making an investment,
yeah,
in differentiating the store from all the other ones. As you said, everybody's putting out the same flyers,
yes,
right?
Yes.
It's like when somebody gets a new job on LinkedIn, you'll see 100 congrats, 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 and then somebody will say,
copied and pasted.
yeah, just one click, and one person will actually give them a congratulations, tie it into some of the things they've done before, how lucky the new company is, and what you're looking forward to this new opportunity.
A personalized touch, if you will.
A personalized touch.
Yeah.
I could not have put it any better. Let's see here. LinkedIn user. Who is LinkedIn? Oh, Mike Vogel. All right, Mike. On the phone, you're coming through as Mike. On here, you're coming through as LinkedIn user. It says, looks like a fireside chat with Paul and Roger. Just need to get that fireplace behind you going. No, Mike, if that fireplace was going, Roger, how warm would it be in here?
It'd be pretty warm for us, yeah.
Yeah, it would be brutal. Okay, Nathan is on Inkworm Medias. Same problem with audio going in and out here. Since you're the only one that's experiencing it, you might want to try to reboot. It could be your browser. And Mike says it sounds fine. Now, as a fixed ops director, you put in a lot of hours.
Yes.
Right? The shop show, what, 7 o'clock?
7 a.m., yeah.
And then you're there till what, 5, 6?
5, 6, depending on the day, yeah.
Okay. That's a long day.
For sure.
So but even with that, you make the investment in time, you participate in these events at the schools, and you show up. And as a result of that, 50% increase in technicians in one store.
Yes.
And same in the other.
Same in the other, yeah. Essentially, I also have porters that I have currently right now that are going to the different vocational schools and technical schools in the area that know that we promote from within, that are ready, that when they graduate, they have a spot in our shop. I have some guys that won't be done till February that are already signed up in our GM online training and getting a head start and taking that training.
Wow.
As porters, knowing they already have a spot, they know what to expect, they know what I expect, and then we can essentially be watching their work ethic before we put them into the shop.
So you're not showing up on day one wondering what the hell is going on.
Correct.
You're actually ready to produce.
Yes, yes, and that makes it a lot easier for us to train, a little bit more aggressively when we already have a good base when you go into the position.
Right. And everybody else is just waiting. It's like the salespeople waiting for the up bus to show up.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
That's
the same philosophy.
Mike Vogel says, I like providing tools at time of hire for entry-level technicians that they keep during their employment. Yeah, no, that's a great way.
Absolutely.
I mean, given the cost of tools today, that's certainly a great incentive. And if you want to tie it to a golden handcuff, if you will, it gives everybody the incentive.
Yeah, and we're currently doing tuition and tool reimbursement on a monthly basis.
Okay.
For 5 years, we give them $250 a month towards tool purchases that they get every month for 5 years with working.
Wow. That's $15,000 to them at the end of the term.
Well, I mean, for 5 years of them booking hours, it's a drop in the bucket for the dealership as far as revenue goes. If they're booking the hours they should.
Man, I love that. Marshall says, the best programs I've seen have a contract and supply a starter set of tools they get to keep after a designated time frame. As an industry, we lose over half our apprentices the first year. It's a great way to drive tenure. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
This is not rocket science here, right? But we tend to overcomplicate things. But that's a great investment because when you think about it, the average person going to a 4-year college today, by the time they're done, they're looking at probably $250,000 worth of debt, with no guarantee of any kind of gainful employment, much less something that's paying them the kind of money that they would need to pay back that loan, right?
Yeah.
I think student loans are probably one of the biggest scams. People end up paying thousands of dollars, and at the end of it all, they still owe thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
And luckily with the vocational schools, it's a fraction of that cost.
There you go.
Dealerships like ours with tuition reimbursement, with the Mazda Mass program, and along with the GM ASAP program, it really helps take some of that burden.
And I want to add in shameless plug for techforce.org. It's another organization that giving out, I think, $4 million or something like that this year in scholarships to automotive students, to aviation, to fleet, to help them through these programs, right? So the cost is minimal. So it sounds like you're farming in a great place here. Let's see, Steve Apicella. Mentorship comes in many forms and isn't always a formal relationship, but it benefits the mentor and their business as much or more sometimes as the mentee. Yeah, I've been a big proponent of that.
Absolutely.
Do you guys do much in the way of mentorship at the store?
Yes, I mean when you come on board as a lube tech, you're partnered with a senior lube tech who's ready to take the next step up to be an apprentice.
Okay.
And once that transition is ready, that lube tech that gets moved up to apprentice, he's working with the journeyman directly, daily.
Okay.
They share booking hours, they share repair work. They get dispatched, work so they can work together on repairs, essentially helping the journeyman book hours and essentially helping the apprentice gain some experience. So that way they're not, left out to dry and learn everything themselves, using the handbook all the time.
So each step, it sounds like each step of the way, somebody's pulling the other person up.
Yes, that's
right?
exactly what we call it, pulling them up. Every step from every position in the store has that set up at both our stores.
So let's go backwards here for a second. So we talked a little bit about how to bring them in, and then bringing them into the porter position.
Yes.
Right. I'm in a lot of stores every day, and the stores that I see that start their porters and then pull them up tend to do very, very well. Talk to me a little bit about how that's working at your store.
Well, it's a win-win situation for everybody, because when you're going to vocational school, the shift might be morning or afternoon.
Yeah.
Right. So our service department closes at 6. So if you get out of school at 2, I can't have you working for 3 hours, and then you make enough money to pay, for your extracurriculars while you're going to school. So essentially, you come on as a porter, right? Now you're working a part-time that you're comfortable with, or a full-time that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
While you're learning how the dealership works.
There you go.
Where we park the cars, where we put the keys, who does what they do, how we should be doing things, how we expect to be doing things. Every standard, every process that we have, you're familiar with as a porter, whether it be sales or service.
Right.
And then from that same pool of porters, we either move you into the technician area as far as the lube tech goes, if you're going to vocational school, or you did vocational in high school.
Okay.
Right? Because I visit the high schools in the area, and I'm lucky enough where U46 and Elgin, they all have excellent repair classes and automotive programs. So I've hired 2 or 3 guys that are, as soon as they turned 18, came and applied and worked a year with me as a porter before I said, you know what, you're going to work out, let's move you into the shop. And it's been a win-win for everybody since doing that.
The automotive scene is a culture unto itself. There's a language unto itself. And by bringing them through as porters, they kind of get to see, it's almost like cross training, if you will, right? They get to see how the sales staff communicates, what they do, what their needs are. Then on the service side of things, they get to see how that works and how everybody interacts. So they come in knowing the language, so to speak. No pun on speak. So yeah, that's a great way to do it. We've got a couple other comments here. Let's see here. We have Marshall Sheldon. Steve Apicella, there is some great statistics providing the increase in loyalty between both the apprentice and the mentor. Worth their weight in gold. Man, if I had that when I was starting out, I'd have saved myself a lot of skinned knuckles. Joe Chambers, the SDL man himself. Hey, gents, Roger is fantastic. Yes, he is. It was a hotel room just like this one, Joe, that you and I did our show in. And Robert Allen Carvel, over a 5-year period, the dealer invests $60,000 in training and retaining technicians. Dealers don't always explain this to the new hire. I see this a lot in my visits to dealers across the country. You know what I've learned and what I see on a regular basis is there's a lot that's not explained to the new hires,
Yeah,
right?
or the current hires.
Or the current hires.
Mhm.
Now, you've been in this business 20, how many years?
24 years now.
24 years. Can you think of a better industry than the car business?
No, no, I wouldn't. I've never thought about changing to another
Right.
field or another industry. I love it.
There's a reason why most of us don't make it out of this business alive,
Yeah,
because it is an incredible business.
yeah.
But we're not doing enough to paint that picture.
You're right. You're right. The mentality is that it's hard and it's not something you can move up in. You can move in throughout, and it's just not true. I mean, at our dealership alone, sales staff that we have at our Mitsubishi store, Mazda store, and our Chevy store moved up from porters, and they've
Yeah.
been there for years, making a great living. I love seeing when my people that were starting off as porters now
Yeah.
are buying. I just congratulated one of my lube techs who bought his first used car himself. And that's because he did all the training. He's moving up in our career path, and he's generating the revenue.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you just say the words career path?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All of our stores have a set career path. As you finish specific training, you know exactly what revenue you're going to generate
Yeah.
after completing each training.
There you go.
And we open the paths to all the training, so you go as fast or as slow as you want to. So I never get the question, hey, can I get a raise? Because it's always there. You know what's coming. You know what
Right.
you're going to get, and it's up to you to work at it. And I have guys that are making the same that when they started, because that's where they're comfortable at.
Right.
And I got guys that are knocking on the door, wanting me to move them up because, hey, I finished all the training. I'm at the top of this path now. It's time to move me up. I mean, it's hard for me to say no to someone who's that eager.
Right,
you know?
right. What I've noticed in dealing with a lot of different stores is that, yes, turnover happens. Okay, change is the only constant in our business. For some, more so than others.
For sure.
But what is something that becomes a recurring theme is that when there is high turnover, there's a certain set of questions that I ask. What does onboarding look like? Do you have a written and scheduled training program? How do you support the people that come in? Do they know what's expected of them? And of the stores where there is a lot of turnover, oftentimes I will hear, no, we don't have anything like that, or certainly not in writing. And I learned a long time ago that you can affect anything if you track it.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
if you don't write it down, how are
Yeah.
you supposed to know that
It's-
whether or not you're improving?
Yeah, that's a fact, whether it's working or not, or if everyone's following the process too, when you bring somebody on board. Because it's our chance as employers. That's our first impression with you when you come on board, the onboarding process.
Right.
It's going to set the temperature going forward. Is this how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes. Yes.
So it's something that's important to have set up.
And I like when it's signed by both the employee and the employer.
Yeah.
Because that shows a two-way commitment, right? I'm not just asking you to commit to something that I'm not willing to commit to.
Yeah. We're also committing to you. Yeah, absolutely.
And then when something goes sideways, it's not what didn't you do? There's no pointing of fingers. It's, how can I better support you? I had a plan for you for 3 months to get to this level of proficiency. At 6 months, I think I need to support you better because we're running a little bit behind schedule on here, as opposed to the finger pointing.
Yeah. Everybody knows where they should be.
Ryan Baum says, hello, gentlemen. Hey, welcome, Ryan. And let's see, Marshall Sheldon, Robert Allen Carvel. I've seen numbers for training and master techs from conception to master. It can cost close to $300,000.
Yeah, I believe it.
What's another interesting thing that I see? When you look at pay, okay, and for some that's a sore subject, but to Marshall's point before, everybody knows what you're paying in a particular store, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, you will see that half of the customer facing ROs are written in the express lane. And more often than not, I'm not seeing the love extended to the employees in the express lane, because it's, maybe they don't feel that they're doing much work, or they're not generating as much profit.
Yeah.
But I look at things a little bit differently. Okay, there are different ways to make money. You can generate profit. You can cut losses, or cut costs, I should say, and you could recoup some of the monies that you missed from your OEM. Right? Those are the three ways, in simple terms, the way I see you can make money at a dealership. Now, if your express lane sees half of the customers that come in that impact greatly the customer experience, okay, that's going to put out on Google whether or not people want to come to your store.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And those like we talked at dinner. I mean, the Google Analytics and the Google reviews are so important. It's essentially our report card as a store.
If they don't like what they see on Google, they're not going to come in, and you won't get that internal OEM survey. Right? That's the gatekeeper. But the other funny thing is that in their reviews, they don't structure the keywords. Okay? The dealers have paid lots of money for SEM over many years, because you want to draw people in using the key search terms that people are searching for. Yeah. Because Google then tells them, if I'm looking for, whatever near me, and your store has a lot of reviews that have that in there, or you have a lot of SEM that has that in there, then the odds are good that people are going to come to your store as a result of that. But yet, when I look at different reviews online, and I analyze the keywords, none of those are what people are searching for. Right? It's like a hashtag that nobody follows.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah, and it's something that, I mean, like we talked earlier, I think dealerships don't pay enough attention to it. We could always call it low-hanging fruit. It's one of the easiest things we could ask for, especially if we're providing good service. If we're providing good service, what's the harm in asking them to share?
You've earned the right.
You've earned the right. Yeah, it's exactly right.
Marshall Sheldon, I just had one of my 3-year guys buy their first house at 24. Proud mentor moment for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear.
I think I was 25 when I bought my first house in automotive. I was writing service and running aftermarket repair shops. So that's the kind of picture we need to paint for the people that we're bringing in.
Yes, absolutely. Show them that it is possible.
So you bring in porters. They learn the ropes. You bring them up into the express lane, where they learn from a senior person in the express lane.
Yep. And then from there, once they've done their tenure at the express lane, and that's based on the training they have available to them.
Okay.
So some guys it's a year. I got guys that are going on the 2-year mark. But everybody knows that once you're done with the training, then we can move you up and have you do more training. And that's also combined with the manufacturer. Because there are some manufacturers repairs that you can only do once you're certified.
Okay.
So essentially we have guys, when they finish their EV training now they can do the EV work on the vehicles. Some recalls require some of the training to be completed. So that's when you really can move up into the apprentice level. Once you have the training complete and we see that you put in the work there, then we can move you up from there. And
all right, so you bring the express guy up into the main shop, and works with a master tech or a B tech.
A master tech. As much as I hate to say it, some of our technicians, our senior technicians are getting a little older, a little slower.
Yeah.
So when you bring in somebody as an apprentice for them, they can kind of help with a little bit more of the physicality of it, and
Okay.
then it'll be an offset. The younger technician will help with the physical part of it, where the journeyman tech will help with the knowledge, and they work together as a team on each vehicle.
So it's win-win. And these senior techs, they're more willing to
Yes.
bring them
Well,
up?
once they see the benefit of it, right?
Okay.
Once they see the benefit of it, of having an apprentice tech. So these apprentice techs also will get assigned cars to them, right?
Okay.
Let's say an oil change.
Yeah.
And when that apprentice tech looks over the vehicle, whatever work that apprentice tech sells,
Yeah.
or when that work comes back because it was sold at for a later date,
Yeah.
it goes to that journeyman to get work done.
Okay.
So now the journeyman is helping that technician. Hey, this is what you look through when you got an oil change. This is what a ball joint looks like when it's messed up. Keep an eye out for these water pumps. These go bad commonly on these
Yeah.
cars. So then the advisor gets a good inspection on every vehicle that apprentice gets. So now the advisor can sell the job and be, Paul, you have a leaking water pump. It's not severe right now. Let's set it up for next week. I'll get you a loaner. Now the advisor sets it up, and then when the car comes back, the inspection shows who worked on it, and it goes to the journeyman who's qualified to work on it because it was his apprentice that sold the job.
Now, to that point, early on in my career, I was writing service at a Mercedes and Saab store. And long before there was such a thing as an MPI, I saw patterns. And I created model-specific forms. So if every 300 SD that came in had a particular list of problems that the car had, every 560 SL had a particular list of problems that the car had. I don't really see anybody doing that. What is your opinion on creating something like that that's model specific?
That'd be a great idea. Model specific, common failures. I mean, every manufacturer has statistics on how many times each part fails.
Yeah.
So I don't see a harm in having something to look at model specific. Absolutely.
So that's a little bit of investment in your time, but I can tell you back in the early 80s, when I came up with this form, the customers loved it and the technicians loved it because they didn't have to second guess. They didn't have to wonder whether or not they forgot something because the common problems that are there were just laid out on that sheet. So if you're out there listening and you want a little edge on somebody else, you might want to put forth a little effort to put something like that together. So apprentices to journeymen, they work together.
Yeah, that one has been a little bit more of a challenge for me because now the apprentice has all the technical skills, and now you add a lot of experience to it. Now it's them kind of being, that baby duck that you're going to force to fly, and they can be a little apprehensive to that. And I've overcome that by hybrid pay plans. Essentially, you have a set hourly rate, and once you book over 35 hours, everything is book time after that. So now all of a sudden it creates a safety blanket, if you will. But you set a time frame of how long you'll do that.
Right.
Right, and we do it for 90 days.
Okay.
Right, so for 90 days you'll get this set up pay plan, and then the technician at the end of those 90 days, we all have a meeting, the service manager, the dispatchers, and myself, with that technician, and kind of go over their hours, what they can do differently, what the strengths and weaknesses they've developed, what challenges they've had, and that's really something that it's eye-opening to the technician himself on how he can succeed in that position.
Has that been largely positive?
Yes, because before I was doing that, I had guys that were really, contemplated leaving because they didn't know if they were going to be able to succeed, because they didn't know how they were going to make a living, the ups and downs of the store. But, between everything we have going on, it's been wildly successful.
Talk to me a little bit about training BDC advisors.
Sure. Well, our store has a service BDC at our Chevy store. Essentially, the main responsibility is taking inbound calls, billing repair orders, and doing a lot of the internal repair orders. But with life as it is, we have people that call in sick, people that have babies, that take some time off, vacation time, and we weren't always opted to hire a fifth advisor temporarily.
Right.
Right. So what we've done is everyone in our service we call the back end, in there has been trained to be an advisor. So my service BDC manager at any moment can be moved out into the service drive and take over any desk that's over there. And we all have the same processes set up, so he can jump right in to someone who's leaving, because every repair order is done the same way. All the notes are in the same place, all the processes, all the pricing is in the same place. So now we have someone that's in the back end, the service BDC, who's ready to take over and move up once we're ready to add a fifth advisor, or if for any reason we lose an advisor in the drive. We have someone that's plug and play, and it's a lot easier for someone like myself to train a service BDC manager than it is to train an advisor. Like we were talking earlier, we have to teach somebody the terminology. We have to teach somebody where everything is, where everything goes, who's who, how things are done. But when you have someone that's already doing it on a day-to-day, on a different scale, that can be moved up, it really creates a benefit for the store.
And they're on premises and store.
On premises, in store, every day.
In a respectable office.
Yes, respectable office. In the heating, in the wintertime, and in the AC in the summertime. Yeah.
Not in a warehouse room where there are boxes and crap all over the place, like you see in some stores.
Yeah, for sure. They're an integral part of the puzzle for us.
And how much time do they spend out in the shop, talking with some of the technicians, getting to know them?
A lot, because they're still doing internal repair orders. So they're doing the used cars and the PDIs.
Yeah.
So they have to go and check if a PDI was done, if an accessory was put in, a used car. You have to be in communication with those technicians all day to make sure that they get turned around relatively quickly. So they're in the shop regularly meeting these technicians that they're going to work with when they become service advisors.
Now, on the communication thing, I've seen in some stores, I see they use two-way radios, and in other stores, I see guys walking around looking for people.
Yeah, our store is a little different. We have walkie-talkies for all the porters and the service advisors. And the walkie-talkies are more meant to communicate with the porters since they're physically running around the dealership.
Okay.
But we have an instant messenger program that's built into our multi-point system that we use regularly, that every technician, every advisor, every manager, and even all the parts people have access to. And that's how we communicate internally within the store without having to run around and be chasing people.
And that's on a separate system from the customer text communication,
Correct.
Things like that.
Absolutely.
Interesting. What other types of things are you doing to build up the shop?
Well, building up the shop, like you were saying earlier, we're really, concentrating on having enough technicians to take on any appointment, any walk-in, any situation we run into. And being that versatile is really helpful to a store like ours that deal with medium-duty trucks, commercial vehicles, and customers that that have regular jobs that need their cars working. We had a fire extinguishing company come in, drop off a car late Thursday. And
you were telling me that one at dinner.
So that was a win for us because he came in. This is their busy season. This is when they need everything ready to go. They have a big install. Their biggest truck had gone down, and they needed somebody to look at it immediately.
What time did the guy come in?
5:45, and we close up at 6, right? So we talk to him, we kind of, bring him back to reality a little bit that we're closing in 15 minutes, but we'll make sure it's the first car looked at, and having enough people to be able to work on his truck made it vital that we could dispatch it first thing in the morning, have it diagnosed by mid-morning for him, and have it repaired, by the Friday afternoon, and then having that versatility and building up the shop that way has really been helpful. The second piece of that is the marketing and now the social media. We've hired a social media director, Frankie Komet, by name. She has been an impeccable piece of the puzzle for us because she's really helped us, edit the videos, give us ideas for videos, walk us through everything, which we didn't have before.
Right.
So that allows me to be more confident in making these videos, and coming. It's easier for me to bounce ideas off someone who has more training than I do, and we've been working really well together and putting out a lot of good content.
Well, that's what caught my eye. I mean, I've liked you from the minute we connected, but that really caught my eye, just putting the content out there. Now, This is a full-time person?
Yes, a full-time person. She's working through all three of our stores for our auto.
Okay.
And I'm involved with the service and parts department, and we meet almost daily on different ideas we're working on
Yeah.
to put up consistent media for all of our service and parts departments, and now also our sales departments also.
That's the key, consistency. Right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it doesn't happen overnight. We have, you guys know, we own a yarn shop, a yarn store. And we've been putting out content consistently for over 3 years. We have 4,800 fans that regularly engage with our content. And when we had our fall retreat recently, we had 33 some odd people come in from around the country. People got on airplanes to come to Connecticut to buy yarn. They came from California, Nebraska, Iowa, Georgia, a few from Florida. One lady took trains from Virginia. 16 hours she spent on trains to come to Connecticut.
Wow.
Right? Social media.
Yeah.
It's free, but yet so many stores don't engage in it. As a matter of fact, most stores don't engage in it. When you look at most stores' social media pages, what you see is the OEM style commercials.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're watching a TV or a show, what do you do when a commercial comes on?
Skip it.
You skip it.
Yeah.
You go do anything else. That's when you go for a beer.
Yeah.
That's when you go for the bathroom run, the chips, the salsa, whatever it is, anything other than watch a commercial. Yet on people's social media stores, you look at some stores that have been in business for decades. They have 900 fans or followers, 1,200. Shouldn't be. You have tens of thousands of people in your database,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. And in our case, we have 3 databases to go through.
3 databases.
Yeah.
And now, so when you were able to service that guy that came in late, what transpired after that?
Well, after that, I asked him if everything went well, and he said yeah, and I asked him for a review. I asked him for a testimonial, and he was happy to oblige and give us a short and sweet and appreciation little message for us, and a video that we were able to make, and then we're going to post it up and show everybody. And I'm going to continue to do that. Thanks to your advice on that, because like you said, when we provide good service, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask, you mind if we take a 20-second video telling sharing how your experience was.
And initially he was a little bit apprehensive, wasn't he?
He was, and then to believe it or not, a lot of people are. It's kind of where we got the idea of the show, because going into the social media presence, it's not something most people do. I didn't do it a lot. I would share stuff, sure, make comments, be part of shows like this, and
Yeah.
but never in front of the camera. And since hiring our social media director, Frankie, there, with her, helping us out, it's really been me getting out of my comfort zone. And in turn, when people see me in my own department out of my comfort zone, now it's like, oh, well, Roger's doing it, I can help out. That's how I've been able to get the technicians to do toolbox tours, at their toolboxes. I've had, advisors jump in and be part of these videos. My other service and parts managers jump in on these videos. It's really been, a lead by example, and kind of pulling everybody out of their comfort zone, showing everybody the value of doing social media.
People want to know who's behind the company that they're doing business with. I think that's more important than any product, for sure. Okay, because people they'll buy something based on the people at the store. And a prime example of that was the other day, Friday, I was at O'Hare on the way back to Connecticut before I would turn around some 26 hours later and come back. But nonetheless, so I live about 45 minutes from New Haven, Connecticut, which is the pizza capital of the world. Okay, we make the best pizza there. That's just the way it is. So I was apprehensive about getting pizza at this place, but there's a guy that works at the airport. His name is Rock, I forget the name of the pizza place. I posted it in my Restaurants USA group on Facebook. So if you guys are on Facebook, join that group and you'll see the guy's picture. That guy was so awesome that I said, you know what? I'm going to get the pizza just because of that guy. And it turned out it was decent. It wasn't New Haven decent, but it was decent. I had a good dinner, right? So now you're creating content people are starting to notice.
Yeah.
Right?
Just recently, I was at a Subway. I was at a Subway near the store for lunch, and I had someone come up to me like, "Hey, I seen your TikTok. Where I love that big wrench you have. Which uses a microphone.
Whoa.
That's you haven't seen that before. Easy. All right, it's an actual wrench that we use, and it was surprising to me, and it's just an indication to me that this is starting to work. We went from 0 followers on TikTok to now I believe we're over 10,000.
Wow. And the demographics for TikTok has changed quite a bit also. It used to be just kids. Now old folks like this guy here, they're on it. Maybe not this specific guy, but old people like me, they're on it now.
Yeah, and TikTok now is the second largest web browser that people use.
So people are searching for businesses, services, products on TikTok. Let me go to a couple of comments here. Let's see here. Jason Riforgiato. You know him?
Yes, he's my service manager at our Mazda store.
He says, and our cashiers.
Yep. Our cashiers are also being cross-trained to be moved into the office.
The benefit of cross-training is just, it's so powerful.
It's vital, absolutely.
For many different reasons. One, you have people that call out sometimes. That's inevitable. So you always have somebody that is there to pick up the slack if you need it. On the other side, this is a positive thing that most people don't think about, is that it gives you a better sense of appreciation for what your coworkers go through during their day.
Absolutely. And they feel appreciated more also, knowing that they can come in and help, and they have someone to come in and help them.
Yeah.
It's huge. Absolutely.
When I was down in Florida to visit Ed Roberts for his book signing, they make it's a big thing for them where they cross-train the employees. And Ed was telling me a story about a technician that he used to bump heads, we'll say, with the service advisors. And in cross-training the tech to kind of have him see what the advisor's day is like, that advisor got an apology from the technician because the technician realized that he wasn't necessarily a nice guy, but he never fully appreciated the work that the advisor did because it wasn't something that he was exposed to. We don't know what we don't know, right?
That's a fact. We run into that. We see that with our porters when they're shuttling people home. They can hear about the service visit and how it was with their advisor. They see the interactions between the advisors, and the customers. And then now when they become technicians, now they know why it's important to reset the maintenance light every time.
Right.
Set the tire pressure in the wintertime. Things like that, because they've seen the conversations the advisors have to have.
Now, so a lot of stores have the 85-year-old shuttle driver who should have stopped driving 5 years ago, but because of loyalty to the driver, the stores actually risk millions of dollars because they know that once that old timer is taken off the driver's seat, it generally doesn't end well for them, So I applaud the dealers for that kind of loyalty. From a liability standpoint, that might be a different conversation. But so you have the porters that take the people.
We have a set shuttle guy, but he's only one person, and when we're writing up 70 cars a day, there's plenty of times where we need more than one shuttle for any specific time frame. So all of our porters are trained to do shuttles also.
So the porter not only learns the dealership lingo and how all the departments work together, but even more important than that, that porter is privy to customer conversations. And I think that the customer would probably be very much at ease to share whatever, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, with the porter.
Yeah.
So now that person is even better rounded because now they get it, they see it on all sides.
Yeah, yeah. They see what the outcome is, because after the technician's done with the car, they're the ones bringing up the vehicle to the customer.
Right, right.
So they see what the interactions will be, good and bad. Absolutely.
So these are all things that most people don't even think about,
No.
right? We just take for granted that, hey, that's the job, this is what you do. But we don't take the time to educate them as to what everybody's benefit is. Because ultimately, the benefit that I care about is how does it affect the customer experience? Because that dictates everything. If they don't come back, we have zero opportunity.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
And not only that, but we have negative opportunity, because if we create an environment where people are leaving pissed off, if you will, then they're going to tell their friends and they're just not coming back.
Yeah.
Let's get to a couple of comments here. Vernon Longhorn Davis, even as a consultant, at the end of my consultation or training, I asked for my survey, i.e. email, to my leadership. Good, bad, indifferent. Feedback just makes us better.
That's a fact.
That is a mic drop statement right there. Because if you don't know, you can't learn. Larry Feldman, my brother from another mother. I missed your call because I had boarded the plane at that point when you tried to call me, but I do appreciate that call very much, Larry. It says, good evening, gentlemen. And Victor Ocampo, nice. Congratulations, Roger.
Yeah, he's a very good general manager for a Caliber body shop near us.
Nice. Man, that's a tough job right there, body shop.
For sure. For sure. He's one of the good ones. Going back to social media a little bit, Paul, if I can.
Yeah.
We've also been using it in recruiting. We went to a career fair at Lincoln Tech,
Yeah.
and I talked to a technician, Pablo, who looked us up after he talked to us initially. And he talked to myself and my service manager for our Mazda store. Frankie, our social media manager, she came with us to this event,
Yeah.
and just to observe and kind of see how we do everything. And he talked to us initially and then left. Came back to let us know that he saw our TikToks and he saw how cool it was that our technicians are involved with it, and building that relationship with him seeing how we do and kind of get an insight, like you said, see who's behind the scenes, who they're going to be working with. He's going to start working with us next week, Monday.
That's great. And the thing about social media content also is that you need to put out a lot of different messaging. There are too many times where the focus is singular. Okay, the focus is on making a funny video. That should be part of your strategy for sure, but it shouldn't be your entire strategy. Okay, the trust that you get is from the customer testimonial videos. Nobody does anything until they know what's in it for them. And it is not about what things cost. It's about how you make them feel. Okay. So to the stores that are putting out these cutesy videos that get noticed, that's great. It should be an integral part of your strategy, but that's not the only strategy. Mix those in with customer testimonials, and that is so easy to do, right? I shared my plan with you.
Yeah.
At dinner. How difficult is that?
It's not, especially like we said, if you're running a good store, asking for that testimonial really shouldn't be that difficult. And it's something, you'll really open my eyes on it, and it's something we're really going to be chasing going forward.
You've earned the right to do so, but most importantly, you have an actual list of who to solicit, right?
Yeah.
Rather than just take a shot in the dark and hope that they say yes. Now, in the case of the ones you've done thus far, you've gone above and beyond to earn it. Customer would see it as above and beyond, but you and I, where we come from, we don't see that as above and beyond.
No.
We see that as that's just what we do.
Yeah, that's every day. That's who we are.
Yeah, it's not what we do, it's who we are.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
You're absolutely right.
So yes, you can get those, but you also what happened here? Oh, I hope that's not a problem on LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn has glitches. And when it does that kind of glitch, it's always a little concerning. Okay, is it on? Yeah.
So we're good.
Yeah, sometimes when you see messages, then you have to look because you don't necessarily know what's going on. But yeah, so you've earned the right to have them do that. And even though at first it was a little apprehensive, you asked nicely, you helped them out, you've earned the right to do so, and he was able to do that for you.
Yeah.
Mixing in some of the other stuff, the testimonial thing is really easy. You go into your database, you find your best customers, you then spend a little bit of work having somebody see which one of those customers has active social media accounts, particularly where they create videos. Because those are the people, content creators like having their content out there.
Yes.
Okay, it's yet another stage for them to showcase what they do.
Or even small businesses, they want to be out there too in social media. So if you're asking them to do a testimonial and then you're going to tag them in it,
Yeah,
now you're it's a double win for both of us.
yeah, you bring awareness to both, right? So it's really easy. If you know who your champions are, you know when they're coming in for service because most people schedule their service appointments, and you meet them when they come in, and you ask them point blank, hey, something I've been wondering about. What is it that we do that makes you so loyal to us, that keeps you coming back from an emotional standpoint? And you'd be surprised sometimes what they tell you.
Yeah.
And you don't need some big Cecil B. DeMille production for those that are old. You know that name. You just need 30 to 60 seconds of the emotion behind why somebody comes and trusts you with the second most expensive purchase in their life. Because when you get that messaging and you put that out there from several of your customers, there's going to be all different reasons why people come to you. Okay, and people are strangely connected. I may have a connection that's here, I may have a connection that's here, and for some reason, these two people know each other, but not through me, right? So the more messaging you can get out there by leveraging your customers and their tribes, the greater success you're going to have, because you don't know. Everybody's always watching. I tell my wife that all the time. And as you go out, more and more people are going to see you in social media because of what you put out there. And over time, that's going to translate into more store visitors.
That's the goal.
The time is like going really fast here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Any last words you want to leave with us on the social media front?
Only advice I can tell you is you have to be consistent, going out there, and have a plan. It's always easier to have your people join you in this social media journey when you have a plan, and it'll put them at ease when they can kind of know what to expect. They know what's coming, and when they see you do it as a leader in your stores and your departments, when they see you do it, right, it makes it easier for other people to join in. Now, if you're not that person, every store has their champion.
Yeah.
Every department has their champion who is willing to do it. Then you give that person your 100% support on doing it. That's the best advice I can give somebody starting off, knowing what I had to go through to really get the ball rolling.
You were a little nervous in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot nervous.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you know what? The internet is today's television.
Yeah.
We have the same opportunity whether you have a 400 square foot storefront or you're a big box store. You have the exact same opportunity as anybody else for free.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all on the same platform out there.
Got a comment that came through here. Brian Pena says it's all the small things that our guests appreciate, like Roger had said, from checking the tire pressure of all the tires to providing an inspection of their vehicle. And with that, it is 9:01, and that rounds us out. Roger, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Paul. Great time.
To those watching live, thank you. I appreciate your support. To those watching on the replay, thank you. I hope you have a safe and successful next week, and we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody.